If you're in your mid to late 30s, I could probably guess a couple things about you. First of all, you absolutely love the Super Bowl 56 halftime show. And second of all, your body probably doesn't quite recover like it used to. You may be dealing with some back problems, knee soreness, or the occasional oblique or hammy pull. But that doesn't mean you're old. I'd have to be insane to say that you, a spry 30-something, are getting old. Unless you're a professional athlete. It is incredibly difficult to maintain an elite level of play in Major League Baseball, especially as you approach 40 years old. The chart on your screen shows the OPS of every big league batter since integration who played at least 500 games after turning 34. Excluding 3 pitchers, we have 224 players here. The bigger the bubble, the more games they played in after turning 34. They're sorted left to right by the year they played in their age 34 season, and the higher they are, the higher their OPS is. Playing in 500 games after your 34th birthday is a feat that deserves celebration all on its own. So let's break down what type of players achieve this. Down near the bottom, we have quite a few catchers and middle infielders who stuck around for years because of their defense and leadership. In the middle, there's a lot of all-time greats who slowed down in their later years, some while locked into long-term contracts. But let's focus on the best of the best. There are only 14 players who hit for an OPS above 900 after turning 34. 9 of these guys are in the Hall of Fame, including Ted Williams, Henry Aaron, and Larry Walker. 4 of them would likely be in the Hall if it weren't for PED usage, and that's counting Nelson Cruz. This leaves 1 player remaining, a man who started off his career about as well as he finished it, a man who almost won MVP the one time he played a full season in his prime, a man who was an essential part of some of the scariest lineups ever, a man whose body was so broken down that it's a miracle he even played for as long as he did, and a man who, despite all these things, never got any serious Hall of Fame consideration. His name is Ellis Burks. The Red Sox selected 18-year-old Burks in the first round of the 1983 January draft. In 1987, Ellis debuted in the bigs at age 22. He seemingly grew faster and stronger during his time in the minors, as he totaled professional season highs in homers, slugging percentage, and stolen base percentage in his first year in the majors. He also broke a Red Sox record with 15 assists from center field. Despite a solid first season, he didn't get one Rookie of the Year vote in a stacked AL rookie class headlined by Mark McGwire. He broke out at the plate during his sophomore season, finishing the year with a 132 OPS+. The Red Sox had the most productive lineup in the AL, with Burks, Wade Boggs, Dwight Evans, and Mike Greenwell all turning in excellent seasons. But Ellis once again lost to McGwire, as Dennis Eckersley closed out all 4 games in the A's ALCS sweep of the Sox. A shoulder injury cut his 1989 season short, but he bounced back in 1990, playing in a career-high 152 games and earning his first All-Star selection. He also won a Silver Slugger and Gold Glove. The Sox again faced Oakland for the American League crown, but again, they were swept. Ellis had a slightly better postseason, but the team only scored 4 runs in the series, 1 during each game. Although he hadn't had much postseason success, Ellis was worth about 4 wins above replacement per season, hit for a career 121 OPS+, and played solid defense in center field. Similarity scores say he's most similar to Andrew McCutchen through age 25, and the stats show just how close they were at this point in their careers. McCutchen won MVP in his age 26 season, so did Burks' career continue following a similar trajectory? Unfortunately, it did not. Knee tendonitis bothered him all throughout 1991, and his power and base stealing abilities were sapped. He had 1 more year before free agency and needed a bounce-back season to earn a big payday, but his 1992 was cut short after just 66 games because of a back surgery. Despite his high ceiling and early success, the Red Sox didn't tender him a contract as he became a free agent for the first time. It was apparent that teams were wary of his numerous injuries, and he settled for a 1-year prove-it deal with the White Sox. And prove it he did. He played 146 games, mostly in right field, and protected sluggers George Bell, Robin Ventura, and Frank Thomas throughout the year. He didn't have his best season, but he showed that he could stay on the field for over 140 games. Despite his strong showing, Ellis and the star-studded White Sox fell in 6 games to the eventual champion Blue Jays. Burks made 3 trips to the ALCS, and Dave Stewart dominated his team each time. After the season, Ellis expressed his desire to stay in Chicago, but they offered him just a 2-year contract to remain in right field. When the Rockies came calling with 3 years, $9 million, and the starting center field job, he had no choice but to accept. Rockies manager Don Baylor and hitting coach Dwight Evans had both played for the Red Sox alongside Ellis. This made the move to Colorado more comfortable and set up Ellis as a leader in the clubhouse, even though he was still just 29. As it turns out, Burks loved hitting in Mile High Stadium. He put up one of the best April stat lines in big league history. The altitude undoubtedly helped, but he was also putting up career-high stats on the road. Unfortunately, his searing hot start came to a screeching halt on May 17th. He tore a ligament in his left wrist while trying to check a swing against the Dodgers. As a righty batter, a left wrist injury is one of the worst things that can happen, and Burks was absent until July 31st while rehabbing. He came up to bat 20 more times in the season, collecting just 2 hits and still dealing with discomfort in his wrist. The strike ended the season on August 12th, which was probably a good thing for Ellis, as he stopped trying to play through the pain and got surgery right away. The rehab process was long, and even though the 1995 season started late, Burks didn't take the field until May 5th, nearly a whole year after the injury. His second season in Colorado began in stark contrast to his first. He was dreadful all May, finishing the month below the Mendoza line without a single homer. After losing the starting center field job, he went on to find his form in June and hit incredibly well as a fourth outfielder and pinch hitter through mid-August, eventually reclaiming the job by September. His overall numbers weren't bad, but in 2 seasons in Colorado, he played just 145 games, and it was evident that he couldn't cover the massive center field and cores without risking further injury. At this point, the contract was looking like a bust. He had 1 more year to show that he was worth it, and in 1996, he did just that.
He is walked, he is singled, and lined out. Here comes the pitch. Swung on it, a high fly ball. Back goes the center fielder Jones. Number 40! Home run number 40 for Ellis Burks.
He played a career-high 156 games, primarily in left field, and put up his best offensive, defensive, and base-running seasons, leading the NL in slugging in all of baseball and total bases. He was worth more wins above replacement than his previous 5 seasons combined. His 40 homers cemented himself as a core member of the Blake Street Bombers. He was the second player in big league history to get 200 hits, 40 homers, and 30 stolen bases, with only Hank Aaron coming before him. He absolutely crushed it at Coors, but also hit 17 homers and had a .903 OPS on the road. When everything came together, he was one of the best players in all of baseball. But these seasons were few and far between, as Ellis missed over 40 games the next year. Before the year, he re-upped with the Rockies for 2 years and $8.8 million plus incentives. He was back in center field because the team wanted to protect Larry Walker's legs, but Burks suffered continued groin strains throughout the season. Looking back in hindsight, they probably both should have been in corner outfield spots. Them never playing full simultaneous seasons prevented the team from putting together a true playoff run. Ellis was now 33, with countless knee, hamstring, groin, and back problems, but the team kept putting him out in center field a mile above sea level. He struggled through more nagging injuries in 1998, and as the team pulled into the All-Star break 15 games below 500, they looked to move Burks in his expiring contract. He was traded within the division to the Giants, and went from the most hitter-friendly park in the league to maybe the least. But he hit exceptionally well after the trade, and the Giants were in a scrap for the NL wildcard. Unfortunately, Ellis was sidelined with a bad knee for the last week of the season. On September 28th, the Giants made the trip to Wrigley Field to face the Cubs in a game 163. The Cubs dominated all game long, with the Giants' only threat coming in the top of the 7th, ending in a Barry Bonds groundout with the bases loaded. Ellis watched from the bench as the Cubs took a 5-0 lead into the top of the 9th, but 3 straight singles to start the inning gave the Giants some life. With the season on the line, Dusty Baker called on Ellis to pinch hit. Still hobbled, he quickly fell behind the count 0-2, but he battled, fouling off pitch after pitch after pitch. Pitcher Terry Mulholland couldn't find anything to put him away, and he was taking his sweet old time between pitches. As the at-bat approached 5 minutes time, Ellis worked the count full. Working a plate appearance like this as a pinch hitter cold off the bench after a week off is something that will go completely unnoticed, but it shows just how incredible Burks was at the plate. As Ellis took his base, the tying run came up to bat.
Barry Bonds, who might not have even batted in this inning, not only will bat, but he is the possible tying run.
And not only that, he's had a lot of success against Terry Mulholland. He's 14 for 46 with 6 home runs.
For the second time in 3 innings, the best baseball player on the entire planet stepped up to the plate with the bases loaded and down by 4.
Frightening percentage. Newman on the outside. Good time. 1 ball, 1 strike.
This pitch right here is a pitch that Barry Bonds has hit out hundreds of times during his career. Barry hit more homers off of Mulholland than any other pitcher, and Mulholland just made a terrible mistake. If the universe wanted the Giants to make a miracle run, this ball goes into the right field stands.
Sosa tagging this Miller, he'll score.
Well, Barry hit the ball hard, he just didn't get it up or down.
Bonds couldn't get the job done. Burks battled for 5 minutes on bad legs to set up what could have been one of the most memorable swings in Giants history, but it wasn't meant to be. Even though the Giants lost, Ellis was clearly an asset. He re-signed to the Bay for 2 years and $10 million to play right field. He got 2 off-season knee surgeries and started off the 1999 season slow, but after a short DL stint in June, he came back playing his best ball of the season, homering 24 times in a 69-game span. Despite this hot stretch, the Giants missed out on the playoffs with Bonds sidelined for over a third of the year, but Burks kept the ball rolling in 2000, walking more than striking out and finishing the year with a career-high 163 OPS+. Hitting for an OPS above 1000 is special, but doing it in Coors Field pre-humidor isn't nearly as impressive as doing it in Pac Bell Park, especially as a 35-year-old with a broken down body. It's clear that Ellis had a fantastic work ethic and constantly worked to improve as a hitter. Playing in a corner outfield spot allowed him to keep fresher legs in his mid-30s. His elite performance in 2000 coincided with MVP-level seasons from Jeff Kent and Bonds, and the Giants entered the playoffs as the top seed in the NL. Their first matchup was the wildcard Mets. Ellis broke Game 1 open with a 3-run shot in the third. In Game 2, JT Snow hit a pinch hit, game-tying 3-run homer in the bottom of the ninth. It looked like it was the Giants' magical year, but after Snow crossed home plate, they only scored 2 runs for the remainder of the series. The Mets held them off and won Game 2 in 10 innings, and in Game 3, in a 13-inning pitcher's duel, the Mets emerged victorious. All the momentum from Snow's homer was gone. The Giants went out with a whimper in Game 4, as they were shut out and eliminated. Once again, Burks' team failed to make it out of the first round, even as he had a strong series. His time with the Giants was his best yet, but with his continued knee problems, it made sense for him to move to the American League. He signed his biggest contract, a 3-year, $20 million pact with Cleveland, where he was used primarily as a DH. He joined another stacked lineup, including Jim Thome, Juan Gonzalez, Kenny Lofton, and Robbie Alomar. Despite a broken thumb, Ellis played very well in 124 games, helping lead Cleveland to the playoffs, but they ran into the 116-win Mariners in the first round. Ellis went 3 for 4 in the Game 1 victory and 2 for 4 in the Game 2 defeat, but the Indians flexed their offensive muscle in Game 3, scoring 17 runs as a young CC Sabathia cruised to the victory. They were only 1 win away from taking down the best regular season team ever, but there was a reason they were the best. The Mariners held Cleveland to just 3 runs in the rest of the series, and Burks went 0 for 7 in his final 2 playoff games. He played in 6 playoff series for 5 different teams and lost every single one. In 2002, he played 138 games, his most since his days in Colorado, and he hit above 300 with over 30 homers. He showed no signs of slowing down in his age 37 season, but the lineup was a shell of its former self, and Cleveland finished below 500. This would end up being his last really productive season in the bigs, and it was wasted on a mediocre team. Nerve damage in his elbow limited him to just 55 games in 2003. Cleveland didn't tender him a contract after the year. This career is one of many ifs. If he had a few more healthy seasons in his prime, he may be in the Hall of Fame. If he wasn't overshadowed by legendary hitters at every destination where he played, he'd probably be more recognized for his excellence as a hitter. From all accounts, he was an excellent teammate and leader in the clubhouse. Giants manager Dusty Baker wanted to keep him in San Francisco, but his knees just couldn't handle playing the field by that point. What if he was on the 2002 Giants who made it to the World Series? The one thing I can say for certain is that Ellis was a damn good ball player, and I wish he had a championship before retiring.